Alright, got another game to record here. If you're looking at my hand and wondering what the hell is going on with it, this is a brand new Sliver Queen deck. And I don't think I've actually recorded any decks with Sliver Queen. There's the first commander deck that I actually played at length was a deck that I co-built with a friend of mine named Nate. That was a pure control deck, and after tinkering with that deck for months, I discovered some more powerful, attractive commanders like Zur and Azami. Ultimately, Nin the Pain Artist. So yeah, Edric, of course. And decided that those decks were not only a little bit more fun to play, but were less of a struggle. The control deck was really good and had tons of answers and silver bullets and tons of tutors, and could really let you outthink your opponent. But it had some fundamental problems, mainly with mana, and the fact that it did not obey the mantra that I try to apply to all of my commander decks, which is build a deck that flourishes in a low or high mana environment, and your deck will be much more successful in the long term. The Sliver Queen deck, even when it drew a ton of mana in the form of colorless mana, it didn't really have a lot of reliable outlets for that. And the commander, while relatively cheap and amazing with tons of mana once you have once you have the queen out, the problem was that you often did not hit the 5-color requirement for a long time. And that ultimately, I think, held the deck back a lot. This new deck, however, is sort of Nate came up with it a couple of days ago, and we've done some tuning. But it's a 5-color good stuff. It's the only way I could really describe it. It has tons of internal synergies and combos. It has a lot of tutoring power. It has just a lot of raw power. It can win the game very quickly. It has a lot of card advantage. It has a lot of board control. It just kind of does everything extremely well. And the mana is extremely robust too, because of all of the not only all of the fetch lands and stuff, but also because so many of the creatures make multiple colors of mana. You have things like Bloom Tender and Elves of Deep Shadow and the Avacyn's Pilgrim and various things like that, which allow you to hit the multicolored mana requirements really consistently. And you get to play with pretty much everything that's super powerful, as you will see in games ahead. I'm sure I'm going to be recording more games with this. I think this is the first one I'm putting down, but it gives a pretty good demonstration of the craziness this deck can do for a control deck. Going second against opponent playing turn 1 Sol Ring. Common occurrence in games that I record, as you may know. Look at that. Big buddy. So, you ever seen a control deck with Terastodon in it? This is one of them. So here's a quick overview of the deck. Actually, it's very appropriate. I'm fetching on turn 1 here. You can get a quick look at it. And for you people out there that like to ask me for deck lists, here it is in all of its glory. It'll likely be different the next time if you do ask me for a list, but this is the current build right now. It's a little bit desultory and difficult to determine, but you probably recognize a lot of familiar cards in here. It is 5 colors, although only a few spells are specific colors, but the synergies in this deck are astounding. It just does insane things very quickly and gets dominant board positions all over the place in tons of different ways. And this is just one of those games. The fetch land I used was a Verdant Catacombs. So that's the whole 99 cards. Anyway. Our goal here, against mono black of course, ramp into this biggins. He plays a Grave Robber and eats my land, so he's got a 4-2 already. Good thing I'm not going to be playing many creatures for him. Level up that guy. So he plays Korlash, heir to Blackblade. Extremely weak black commander. Does not attack me with a 4-2 into a 1-2. I guess he thinks I might chump block. I'm not sure what to think of that. Anyway, Gilded Lotus, already looking at Terastodon. He also decided not to use his Divining Top at the end of turn, because he knew he had Urborg, Tomb of Yawgmoth on top of his deck. Suddenly, Korlash, a whole lot more dangerous, and I have no idea why he's not attacking with Night Eyes here. It is a 4-2, but whatever. So Arena. So his board looks freaking sweet. But the elephant tends to come in and just trample all over everybody's happiness. And that's what he's doing right here, even though he doesn't have trample, oddly enough, for a 9/9 elephant. Big Terastodon. Gobble. Well, that's one solution to Korlash. Kill all their swamps. Oh, little 0/0 guy. What happened to you? 1, 2, 3, 5 mana destroyed. God, this thing is so ridiculous. And of course I've got Karn Liberated as backup. You might be wondering why I have Deranged Hermit in my hand. And it doesn't really get a lot of play. I don't like this card quite as much as Nate does, but it's definitely a powerhouse in this deck. Many synergies with it. The three foremost ones are Gaia's Cradle, of course, Skull Clamp, and then Opposition. And then it does crazy things with Aura Shards too. Just all around goodness. Anyway, he topped here and he's drawing a few extra cards. But we are tutoring for, and this gives you an example of like the grotesque things this deck can do. Mystical Tutor 4. Here's the deck again. And what do you get here? Like, even though your opponent's crippled, he's got Arena out and could quickly be recovering. I do have the ability to Karn stuff, but I want to just drop the hammer here permanently. I'm sure Nate would know what to get here, because he's very familiar with the synergies in this deck, many of which have been borrowed from our control deck. Here's the choices over here. Bribery, not too useful. Demonic Tutor, always useful, but I'm tutoring anyway. I'll give you a hint. It's down at the bottom. Wargate. Very underplayed card. Absolutely a bomb. So amazingly powerful in any deck that can support it, especially decks with mana ramp. I mean, just honestly as a 3-mana fetcher, the fact that you can go fetch Mana Crypt with it for 3, or you can go and fetch Strip Mine. A very common thing we do with it is if you start with Strip Mine or Crucible, you just get the other piece with Wargate. But here we are getting Phyrexian. And I should have, I had enough mana here. Actually, no, I guess I didn't. I have exactly 4. Yeah, 4. But anyway, 4. Dun. Where is it? Right there. Phyrexian Metamorph. Metamorph comes down. Yeah, you had a good board. Now you got some elephants. Hope you enjoy it. I mean, I guess he could brawl here and hit me for, I'd kill these two and hit me for, what is that, 15 damage? But then he'd be down to these two and I'd cast Deranged Hermit. That would be the end of his entire game. But anyway, he scoops it up. I also have the ability to cast Queen next turn and make some tokens with it to block further. So there was no risk at all from taking damage here. So yeah, he went from a turn 1 Soul Ring into Ancient Tomb and Phyrexian Arena and looking awesome to having nothing in play but some dorks and a top. And this deck does crazy stuff like this all the time, as you will see in games ahead. Hope you enjoyed that quick demonstration.